I don't want to pull my credit. I don't want my FICO score to go down. Or I don't want to give you such sensitive information like my social security number. Is there anything you can do? That's definitely something I think we all run into. We all run across as, mortgage loan officers. We have to look at their credit report. It's just part of the job. There's no way to even do a sale without confirming their credit report, right? But that's such a sensitive piece of information. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you and show you how to get that sensitive piece of information and increase your chances of getting that social security number, and also building the excitement of what it is you plan to do with it, right? And so I'm gonna speak from experience, of course, because I've been a mortgage loan officer for almost 20 years now. And one of the original challenges that I met, even until this day, I still come across this objection, is you go 30 minutes, and I hope you're going at least 20-30 minutes into the conversation before you ask for the social security number, because that's a key step. Is you have to build the anticipation, you have to build the excitement. But nonetheless, you still may get swapped away from trying to get that social security number, right? And so I think timing is important, because if you ask too soon or ask too early, you're not going to get it. You're actually going to put your own roadblock in the way. You're not going to give yourself enough leverage to get that sensitive information. And then number two is the tone, like the way you ask for it. I think the wording is very, very important. Let me give you an example. I have loan officers on my team and in my area who are very structured, very organized, very successful too. But they do it in a way that is different from mine. It's different from my flow, if you will. And what I mean by that is because they're so structured, they feel it necessary for them to go within a specific order. And so they, literally they go through page 1, 2, 3 of the of the 1003. They go through all the declaration questions at the very end. They go through the humda, and then they ask for the sex, right? Like, are you male or female? And it's such an awkward question, but they go through it. And then they'll ask, hey, I do need to pull a copy of your credit report. What's your social security number? It's just so bland. In my opinion, I believe there's a smoother way to go about it. And if you haven't downloaded my script yet, go to salesremaster.com, put in your name and your personal email, and personal, because work email may bounce it back. It may be quarantined as spam. And when you do that and you hit submit, I'm going to send you an email and along with a hyperlink where it says click here, and you'll be able to download my sales script. And in short, what it's showing you how to do is take control of the conversation. And why I refer to it as a sales conversation is because it should be a conversation. It should not be an interrogation. Where I hear a lot of structured and organized loan officers go about their process, and it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because the prospect feels like they're going through this machine. Like they're going through an interrogation, and that's usually what's intimidating about speaking to a loan officer or a salesman in general. Is that if they feel like they're going through the process of committing, then they're going to get scared. They're going to naturally shut you off. They're going to defend themselves from you because they don't know how to do anything else, right? They don't understand the process. It's not like they're talking about 1003s every day, or talking about certain topics or acronyms that we use. Which, a side note, in your conversation, if you're using your language that you're familiar with, that they're not, you're actually pushing them away. Meaning that, oh yeah, I got to check your DTI. The fuck is that, right? Or, oh yeah, it looks like your LTV's at 78%. The fuck, I hear it a lot. Like they'll loan officers will tell a prospect, say, oh yeah, don't worry about that. We'll PTD that. The fuck, they have no idea what PTD means. But we get so comfortable, we get kind of in our zone, that we really forget to show empathy. Empathy is when you look at the scenario from the other person's point of view. If you're not empathetic, you're going to do a piss poor job at selling, because you're only looking at it from your point of view. You're not looking at it from the other person's point of view. Empathy is an emotional intelligence. It's making it comfortable for your prospect. So you're just basically looking out for their experience. And so where I see a lot of it go wrong is that there's not enough leverage by the time that question pops up. And that's really the key thing. So when you download the script and you look at how it enables you to take control of the conversation, it's really going to be based on your ability to learn, to hear, to gain that trust and gain that rapport. And it's far easier to gain trust and rapport if it sounds like a conversation, not an application. Like, there's certain things that you don't necessarily need before you ask for a social security number. Like, some loan officers will literally ask the name of your employer, the address of your employer, your title, your annual salary. And what I do is I just get to the nitty gritty. I just get very simplified, right? I don't want the prospect to feel like they're committing to me. And that's why the verbiage of the sales script is saying, hey, you know what, before I even go any further, I just want to make sure I'm not wasting your time. I want to make sure you're in the right place. I'm going to ask a few basic questions, and this is going to let me know if I can even move forward with their call. If I can, it means that I can help you in some way, and I'm going to show you exactly how I can help you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to email it to you so you can look at it in writing. But if I can't, though, I'm going to help you save a bunch of time, and I'm going to point you in the right direction if I can, or at least let you know that you're good where you're at. And when you start the conversation off that way, there's nothing to lose. Not only that, but you now took the mic because you've already addressed the initial concerns that your prospect had, which is wasting their time, which is getting information that's not relevant to them, getting information that's poor to them, or not having an answer at the end. It's basically time. All of it is geared around time. And so because time is such a sensitive issue, I make the conversation, or the 1003, a sales conversation. I don't make it an interrogation. So I'm very selective with the way I use my words and which words I use, and things like that. So the flow has to be like we're just chit-chatting, like we're having a conversation over the phone, like I'm just trying to get an understanding of where I should point them. And I'll drop subtle clues throughout the conversation, like say, okay, cool. So, based on the information, what you shared with me, it looks like I can, and then you start going over and actually repeating the same shit that they just told you. Like their goal was to lower payment and rate. And as you probably already saw in my 1003 remastered video, if you have not seen that yet, I'll leave a link below this video inside the notes so that you can pull up the video and look at it. But that's essentially the 1003 conversation. It's showing you how to extract the most valuable information so that when you do ask sensitive questions like what's your social security number, or are you ready to buy, and you're going in for the sale, you'll have enough leverage items, and you'll have enough reasons as to why they need to move quickly. So you're not only building up rapport so that you can influence them to move quickly, but you're also building a rapport and trust, so they'll give you the information you need, which is their social security number. And so it baffles me when loan officers or some agents will actually just go straight into the social, or they'll go straight. It's very similar to going straight into pricing. Like, hey, my name's Daniel. It's a great day at my company. We got the best offer. How you doing? How can I help you? What's your goal? I want to lower your rate. And then the loan officer will say, okay, well, what rate do you have? And they'll tell them that I got 3.5. And then the loan officer immediately will start qualifying, right? Like, oh, that 3.5 is a little low. Sounds like you're in a good spot. Okay, thanks for calling though, and then move on without building up the conversation, because for all you know, that 3.5 could be an FHA along with their MIP that could leave them at 4.35. Or in some cases 4%, 4.25, something above 4%. So they believe it's 3.5 because they don't understand it like you and I do. And sometimes we need to remind them. Or they could have 3.5, but they could also have $30,000 of debt that's keeping them from putting any available net cash inside of their bank or inside their savings. And that's key. And so what they're doing is they're not necessarily asking you for a lower rate at 3.5. You are making that roadblock. You are assuming that. What they're really saying is that, hey, Daniel, I just really want to lower my rate. This is my payment. I want to lower my payment. This is my payment right now, and this just happens to be the rate that it's tied to. You have to train yourself to to absorb that information or hear that information in a different way. So the next time someone tells you today, like, hey, I just want a lower rate. I got a 2.125 30-year fix. Can you beat it? And say, yeah, let me see what I could do for you. But before I even begin, I want to make sure I'm not wasting your time. I want to make sure that we even have a bridge across. I'm going to ask a few basic questions. It's going to let me know if I can even move forward with the call. If I can, I'm going to show you exactly how I can improve your current payment. Mind you, current payment, I'm swaying them away from interest rate. I'm going to show you exactly how I can improve your current payment. And if I can't, meaning that your payment is already as low as it can be, then I'm going to let you know, or at least point you in the right direction where you could possibly get it lower. And now it's a win-win, right? It's like, okay, cool. Well, what do you got? And then now it's up to you to manufacture 2 or 3 important questions, open-ended questions, not questions that end with an answer of yes or no. It has to be open-ended. Like for example, say, okay, Mr. Jones, if I were able to help lower your payment, what would you do with the savings? Would you put it back towards the principal, meaning you'd pay off this loan faster? Or would you utilize that savings to pay off other debt, like credit card debt or things like that? And then they're going to give you an answer. And depending on that answer, it's going to tell you what direction and how to tailor the rest of the conversation. You see, this is a method of building up leverage so that when you do it right and you have so much leverage, and after you repeat the goals that they just told you because you asked the right questions, then now you have them salivating, right? And then you can go in for the social security number and say, okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to validate. In order for me to put it in writing, I have to validate all the information, need to make sure all the payments are current and all that. And so once I do, I can officially put it in writing. This enables you to look at everything in black and white. And then I'm going to email it out to you, okay? What's your date of birth, and then what's your social? And then you go in that route. Now, of course, you're going to get objection. They'll be like, hey, Daniel, you know what? Before you do that, can you just tell me my FICO is the best? My FICO is blah 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 blah. And that's their response, right? You should reply as, oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I moved forward with our conversation. See, now you're reiterating what you had told them in the very beginning. And something about that is going to spark in the prospect's mind. They'll be like, oh yeah, he did say that. Okay, cool. Right? But sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, but still I don't want to pull my credit because you might hurt my FICO score. They say, yeah, no worries. When was the last time you looked at your FICO score? And sometimes they're going to say, oh, well, I looked at it a week ago or 2 weeks ago because I inquired for a mortgage with this other company and I don't want you pulling the credit report. And say, well, did you know that you have a grace period of 30 to 45 days? It's actually for your protection as a consumer. You should not be restricted to go with the first company that pulls your credit, because us as lenders need to review your credit in order to authorize the disclosure. In other words, you don't want to take the first lender that pulls your credit score just because they pulled your credit score, because that would mean you're missing out on alternative options. And mortgage being the biggest debt you have, it is your right to compare and ensure that you're getting the absolute best offer. This has to do with, the Dodd-Frank law and ensuring that you're protected, because if you remember before, they didn't really care about your credit report, they didn't care about your income, they would just shoot out a number. Now I can give you very general information, but you can get that on a radio ad, you can get that on a TV commercial. If you want something a little bit more custom fit, I'm going to help you. As a matter of fact, if I knew I couldn't give any benefit, I wouldn't have even lasted this long in the conversation. So what I'm going to do is show you some tailored information that's going to be custom fit to you. This is going to be worth your time in looking at, and it's not going to be as general as a TV commercial. It's not going to be, any fine print associated. This is going to show you exactly what you can do. So what's your date of birth? And then move right in for the question. And sometimes they still decline you. Yeah, but can you just at least tell me, what your payment will be, what your rate will be? And here's the thing where most loan officers, fails, because they're looking at the rate sheet. And they're thinking 30-year fix because the whole conversation is about a 30-year fix. But they're just asking you, say, hey, how low do your rates go? Well, I got rates as low as 2.5. And I could be, right? Because I have ARMs, I've got VA ARMs, I've got FHA ARMs. I'm not going to go over those details, but I'm saying, I got interest rates as low as 2.5. But based on your information and based on what you shared with me in this conversation, I believe that you are going to create enough savings and then you're going over all the, depending on the conversation. So like you mentioned, you want to save money so you can create cash flow so you can pay off other debt. The reason why you don't have X amount inside your checking and savings is because there's X amount going towards these credit card debts. So my whole goal is to show you how to remove that X payment going towards your credit card debts to create breathing room, give you more control of your finances. Stop putting you under such stress at the end of the month going into the next month with nothing to show for it from the net income you earned from last month. Position yourself properly so your FICO score remains protected, your equity remains protected, but more importantly, that you give yourself the ability to demand the absolute best pricing. And so what I'm going to show with you is exactly how we can do that. What's your date of birth? And then move right back into it. Now, most of the time, if you do it right, by the time you ask them the first time, they're going to give it to you because you built up the anticipation. Very rarely do you get someone that says, blah, 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 and then they push you all throughout the 3 attempts to get the social security number. But in the rare case that they still don't, you have to be strong. You have to know that you have enough information to do a follow-up call. Don't be afraid of the follow-up call. Most sales happens in the follow-up call. And so when you get to the very end, and let's say if they're still not giving you a social security number, say, no worries, but if anything, I appreciate your time with me. I was at least able to discover, and then you repeat every single thing that you could potentially do for them. Create the savings, leave their mouth salivating, and say, when you are ready, after you repeat all the benefits and the upside, say, when you are truly ready to implement the savings and get out of the hole that you're in, I can help you. So I'm going to email you my contact information. As of right now, I can only release general information. I really hope that this general information works, but if you want information that's worth your time in reviewing, then this is what we got to do. So let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready to implement these savings so that you can, A, B, and C. My number is blah, 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 and I'm going to email out my contact information, and I'll look forward to your response. Have a great day, and I do wish you the absolute best. Take it all the way to the point where they believe they're going to hang up. And so you'll know that you can get them if they keep the conversation going after you get to the tone where you're about to hang up. So if they keep going, then keep going with them and say, yeah, you know what I mean? To be honest with you, I'd love to show it. I'm super excited. I wish I could push a button and just show you what I'm looking at my system. But because I'm licensed, I have to make sure you actually qualify for it. And that's something not a lot of lenders will do. They'll just give you a number. You got to be protected from that. You got to be sure that you're not just, chasing a dream. You got to make sure you're not just chasing something that you don't know the full scoop about, right? Like, you need to know the details. I can help you in that area, but if you want to just search for general information, by all means, you have the right to do so. But when you're serious about implementing these savings, when you're serious about achieving these goals, this is how you do it. And then ask for the social security number and date of birth. Again, most likely they'll fold and they'll give you the social security number. Now, some loan officers will think like, man, this person's going to be a fucking pain in the ass to work with throughout the process, when in all reality, those are actually the best customers because they're the ones who truly qualify. They're the ones who are going to turn down all your competitors if they try and call and ask for a credit report. But the thing is, if you penetrate and you get that social security number from them, you're strong because their loyalty is with you. They're not gonna, your competitors are not gonna be as aggressive as you are. But where you're going to fail is if you just give up, if you just try to take shortcuts, if you don't want to build the leverage. Every single conversation you have is a potential sale. Even if it's a sale that doesn't happen right then on that conversation, it can happen in a month, it can happen in a week or 2 weeks. So every single person you talk to, you need to really go in thinking that and consider your own name equity, your equity in your name and your email, so that they invite your messages, because you're still going to want to keep in contact with them if in the event you can't help them, right? Don't think that they won't be eligible in a year or two and you're not going to be in this industry. That's thinking short term. You got to think long term. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I hope that information helps you. Please leave your comments below, like and share on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your email to your squad. Anyone who's having issues on getting a social security number or completing the 1003 application, let them know. Sales Remastered's here and we got your back. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.